Ridge was driving home late after a long day, the kind of drive he'd done 1,000 times before, on familiar roads, feeling confident, thinking about dinner, thinking about family. He never suspected the sudden crash. The car spun, metal screamed, glass shattered, the world tilted on its axis, and then silence, blurred pain, and the sirens that followed. In that moment, everything changed for Ridge Forrester. In the hospital's gloom, he lies now, critically injured, hooked up to machines, monitors flickering. Lives are on hold. Every heartbeat counted. He came home one way, but returned to a world suspended between hope and despair. His mind flickers familiar faces, his children, the house, the fragrance of home, but then it fades into darkness. The doctors whisper the worst. The damage is severe. The chance of recovery slipping away. The possibility that Ridge might not pull through looms large. And behind this trauma lies a poisoned thread of betrayal. Rumors circulate, hushed voices at Forrester Creations, at the Spencer estate, in the halls where business and family collide. Whispers that loon along resentful, cut off, cornered by those she believed tried to shove her behind bars had plotted this crash. The suggestion she hired Remy to cause the wreck. Revenge disguised as an accident. A gift of chaos delivered to the man who stands at the center of so many legacies, so many loves and feuds. The scene unfolds. Luna's quiet phone calls, notes tittied away, late meetings with Remy. She has scars, emotional, legal, reputational, and many who pushed her aside thought her defeated. But that's exactly what made her dangerous. She aimed low, picked the perfect moment. Ridge driving alone, tired, distracted, vulnerable. Remy, the hit and run orchestrator, watching, waiting, ready to pull the trigger or step on the gas. That fateful evening, the plan unspooled like a late-night train, unstoppable. Ridge took the turn, Remy surged from the shadows, and the crash was on. Now the Forrester family is torn. The Spencers are shaken. The pattern of alliances and enmities shifts in the pulse of Ridge's fate. Because make no mistake, if Ridge dies, everything changes. The throne at Forrester Creations fractures. The love triangle among Ridge, Brooke Logan, and Taylor Hayes collapses. The sins and secrets that have built up over years will now explode. What if Ridge dies? The question hangs in every hallway. The Forrester name would lose its anchor. Brooke and Taylor would both face the brutal reality of losing the man they've loved. Brooke, who has weathered betrayal and loss, who has built her identity around Ridge's presence, her world would crash into silence. Taylor, whose heart has always circled back to him, would be left with memories and the question of what might have been. Their rivalry, their passion, it would become grief. Ridge's children, Steffi, Thomas, and the others would face fatherless lives. The company he built, his designs, his legacy would either pass to someone unwilling or someone unworthy. Enemies would circle. Remy's involvement, if proved, would ruin lives. Luna's victory would be a hollow one, because no triumph comes from killing someone's hope. The Club of the Living would watch, haunted, asking, did we miss the signs? Could we have saved him? Could we have stopped this? But there is a thread of hope. The doctors still fight for Ridge. Brooke holds his hand, whispers his name, prays he wakes. Taylor stands at the door of his room, determined not to give up on him, determined to be there when he emerges if he emerges. The family rallies, the employees stand silent, the business world holds its breath. He might fight back. He might open his eyes and say, I'm not done yet. If Ridge survives, if he climbs back from the edge, then the reckoning will begin. Luna will be exposed. Remy will be hunted. The Forrester world will reorder itself. Ridge will have to rebuild not just his body, but his life, his business, his relationships. Brooke and Taylor will face the new him, changed, perhaps vengeful or perhaps wiser. The family will know they flirted with tragedy and lived. That knowledge will alter everything. But if Ridge doesn't wake up, the ripple will be devastating. A funeral with fashion icons and lovers and grudges would become the center of a new era. Forrester without Ridge. Brooke without Ridge. Taylor without Ridge. A legacy unfinished. The company sold or swallowed. The children scattered. The love stories ended not with a ring but with a memory. And in the silence that follows, blame will echo. Who let this happen? Who orchestrated it? Who stood by while it unfolded? In hospital corridors, the machines beep, a monitor flashes, a nurse checks his vitals. Brooke's tears slip down her cheeks. Taylor's face is tight with controlled grief. Thomas looks away because he can't bear to watch. Outside, the storm gathers, the fashion world waits, the legal world moves, someone will pay. Whether Ridge lives or dies, nothing will be the same again. And so, as the night deepens, as Ridge lies between worlds, the question remains, will he wake up and reclaim his place, or will his death mark the end of an era? Either outcome will shatter many lives, but only one will allow them to rebuild. The question is, who among them will emerge from the wreckage stronger, or will they all be broken? This is the moment of reckoning, the moment of truth. For Ridge, for Brooke, for Taylor, and for Luna. The world watches, the heart holds its breath. And when tomorrow comes, we will see what side of fate they land on. Ridge Forrester was gone. The news hit like a punch to the chest. The man who had carried the Forrester name with pride, who had defined decades of power, loyalty, and love, was no longer breathing. The machine stopped. The heartbeat faded, and with it, a legacy shattered in silence. But while some crumbled under the weight of grief, Brooke Logan did not. Brooke didn't cry the way they expected. She didn't break down. Not in public. Not in the way that made people pat her on the back or offer whispers of sympathy. She stood still in that hospital corridor as if frozen in time, watching the Forrester world shift around her. But inside, something had cracked. Not from weakness, but from pressure. And out of that crack, a fire ignited. She had loved Ridge with every part of her through marriages, divorces, betrayals, reconciliations. He was her constant, the center of every storm. His loss should have turned her to ash, but instead it lit a fuse, because Ridge hadn't just died, he had been taken. The whispers, the evidence, the strange timing, it wasn't random. It wasn't fate. It was a hit. Luna, Remy, and perhaps others. Brooke saw the pattern, the bitterness Luna had carried for months, the desperation after her near downfall, the coldness in her eyes the last time they crossed paths, and now this crash so clean, so sudden, so effective. Remy, a ghost in the shadows, the perfect pawn. It wasn't an accident, it was a message, but Brooke had no intention of receiving it quietly. She stepped into Ridge's funeral not as a widow, but as a warning. No tears, no fragility, just intent. She looked out at the crowd, colleagues, family, enemies hiding in plain sight, and in her silence, she made a vow. Ridge died because someone wanted to remove him from power. They think they've won. I'm here to show them they've started a war. From that moment on, the Brooke they knew was gone. She didn't return to the shadows. She didn't retreat into grief. She moved fast, decisive, strategic. The first thing she did was secure her position at Forrester Creations. No more background role, no more deferring to the family politics or staying quiet for Ridge's sake. She demanded a seat at every table, made calls to longtime partners, reactivated dormant alliances. Investors who respected Ridge's vision were drawn to her new fire. She used their mourning to stir loyalty. We owe it to him to protect what he built. Steffi tried to block her. She underestimated just how far Brooke was willing to go now. In meetings, Brooke cut through excuses like glass. We are not led by emotion, she said coldly. We are led by legacy. And I won't let that legacy be corrupted by a liar like Luna or a coward like Remy. Her tone turned steel. She bypassed Steffi's vetoes. She rewrote policies. One by one, she pulled designers, partners, even board members to her side. Slowly but surely, she tilted the company's center of gravity back toward herself. But this wasn't just about business. Brooke wanted justice. She wanted blood. Behind closed doors, she ran a private investigation. She used Ridge's contacts in law enforcement, hired digital forensic teams, pushed quietly through corporate surveillance. Every thread led closer to Remy. She found financial traces, cryptic messages, a burner phone tied to Luna's assistant, a paid transfer on the day of the crash. It wasn't airtight, but it was enough to make Luna sweat. Brooke confronted Luna in the Forrester design room, just the two of them, alone amid the silence of silk and sketchbooks. You think I'm the same woman you manipulated months ago? The loyal wife? The grieving widow? I'm not here to cry. I'm here to bury you. Luna didn't flinch, but her silence said everything. Brooke leaned in. You took Ridge from me. Now I'm going to take everything from you. The problem was, Brooke's crusade was turning her cold, ruthless. In her mission to destroy Luna and expose Remy, she began crossing lines that blurred into obsession. She started controlling narratives, leaking details to the press, manipulating stories to corner Luna into a corner. Some of Ridge's closest allies began to back away. Even her own children questioned her. Hope said, "Mom, this isn't justice, it's vengeance." But Brooke didn't blink. I'm doing what Ridge would have done if it were me. Her once quiet power moves became public plays. She froze Luna's accounts, citing financial audits. She blackmailed Remy's known associates into silence or cooperation. She even suggested to the board that Steffi had been negligent in letting the family be exposed to these threats. A whisper campaign began. Was Brooke orchestrating a takeover under the guise of revenge? But by now, Brooke didn't care. Let them call her cold. Let them call her the villain. She had lost the man she loved, and she wouldn't let his legacy rot while everyone else played nice. She would burn bridges. She would build walls. She would take over, and she would do it mercilessly. Eric watched with growing discomfort. Donna tried to speak sense, but Brooke had gone too far. She wasn't just defending Ridge's name. She was transforming herself into something else, a queen who ruled by fear, not love. And in that transformation, she began isolating herself. Her alliances weakened under the weight of her ambition. Ridge's death had opened a power vacuum, and Brooke filled it not with healing, but with control. What began as justice had become obsession. And now the family began to fracture. Hope walked away. RJ refused to take sides. Steffi doubled down, calling Brooke a tyrant in lipstick. The company was thriving financially, but emotionally, it was falling apart. And still, Brooke pushed forward. Because if she stopped, even for a second, she might feel the grief. The weight of Ridge's voice, gone forever. The mornings without his laugh. The nights without his presence. So she kept building, kept fighting, kept blaming, until finally the evidence surfaced. Remy was caught. A confession, a payment trail, a motive. He was tied to Luna just as Brooke had believed. But in a twist no one saw coming, Luna had an alibi for the time the payment was arranged. Someone else used her name. Another betrayal, another shadow. Luna wasn't innocent, but she wasn't alone. Brooke had gone so far to destroy her that she missed the larger game. Now, with Remy exposed and the truth spilling out, Brooke stood alone at the top, victorious, but surrounded by broken relationships. Ridge's name was cleared, but the cost was high. The company was divided. Her children questioned her morality. And Brooke, standing by Ridge's portrait at Forrester, realized she had become the thing she once fought against. A villain in her own family. But she didn't apologize, because in her eyes, Ridge's death was never going to be just another chapter. It was the turning point. He died because someone wanted power. She took it back. She made them pay. And if they called her cruel for it, so be it. She had lost Ridge, but she had not lost her fire. And now, Brooke Logan was no one's wife. She was the boss. And the war had just begun. Dr. Lee Finnegan has reached the outer limits of what she can tolerate. Years of secrets, misjudgments, betrayals, and mistakes now converge in a single, terrible moment. Her niece Luna, once under her wing, has turned into a predator. This is not the girl Lee thought she was saving. Now, after one final, monstrous act, Lee draws a line in the sand and she will not compromise. The place for a serial killer is behind bars, and for Luna that day is now. It all begins with Lee's quiet fury. Lee, a seasoned surgeon, a woman of precision and control, once believed that loyalty and family meant intervening no matter how deep the damage. She had risked her license, her reputation, her freedom, all for Luna. She had kept Luna alive after a gunshot wound, hidden her in undisclosed recovery, provided undeclared medical care, faked her death, everything, because she believed the niece, the errant child of her sister Poppy, the mysterious intern at Forrester Creations, was worth saving. But the price of that belief has become unbearable. Luna Nozawa is not who she pretended to be. She used that second chance to ramp up her crimes. Prior to Lee's rescue, she already had murder in her record. She killed Tom Starr to silence his probing questions about paternity. She killed Hollis, an innocent bartender. When he threatened her cover, she abducted Steffi Forrester, locked her in a cage, and intended her death. She attempted to kill baby Hayes Finnegan. She tried to murder Electra Forrester out of jealousy over Will Spencer. Then, the latest blow, she drugged Will Spencer, sexually assaulted him, forced him to become pregnant. A tableau of violence, manipulation, and cruelty. Each step proved Luna is not salvageable. And Lee knows this. The betrayal stings deeper than the crimes themselves. Lee's anger does not stem solely from Luna's violence against the Spencer family, though that is monstrous enough. It flows from the fact that Lee's protective actions, her belief in Luna's redemption, have been twisted into enabling. Others, Katie Logan among them, have leveled the accusations. If Lee had not harbored Luna, disguised and sheltered her, provided treatment off the grid, then Will would not have been preyed upon. What Katie called complicity stings nonetheless. Lee, the healer, the one who diagnoses and plans and mends, misjudged the patient. Luna was never a patient to heal. She was a predator to incarcerate. In those moments, Lee's professional pride and moral certainty collide. She once thought she could fix Luna much as she rescued her son Finn. But the daughter of deception and manipulation cannot be cured by medicine. She must be contained. Lee's clinical judgment failed, and a young, innocent man paid the price. That vivid realization pushed Lee across the line. She no longer sees Luna as a niece. She sees her as the enemy. Luna's feigned pregnancy. Lee sees straight through it. While Luna labors the narrative of a high-risk pregnancy and an endangered unborn child, Lee unmasks the charade. She recognizes the familiar pattern: manipulation for leverage, sympathy for immunity. Luna is betting that the Spencer clan's protective instincts, the world's view of pregnant women, the leverage of a child heir, will soften the judgment. But Lee is not fooled. She remembers the sacrifices she made under faith in Luna's promise. She is done being fooled. And so the moment of confrontation looms. Lee summons the courage and the clarity to walk into the prison visitation room. Luna trembles, using every dramatic ploy. I'm pregnant. I'm fragile. I'm a victim. Help me. But Lee remains silent. The room is cold. The niece pleads. The aunt holds silence. Then Lee speaks, not words of reconciliation, not appeals for mercy, but a surgical dissection of betrayal. Lee will tell Luna what she is: a murderer, a kidnapper, a manipulator. She will declare that Luna's family ties are severed permanently. That prison is not a harsh fate. It is her rightful place. That the child she claims is better raised without her. That Lee once risked everything for her, only to be betrayed. In that single, chilling moment, the family fractures. The aunt who once protected becomes the judge. The niece who once depended becomes the condemned. The question is simple. Will Lee go in and confront Luna face to face, or will she refuse to visit, refusing even that final act? Whatever Lee chooses, the verdict is clear. No reconciliation. No second chances. The next chapter is not healing, it is severing. For Luna, isolation begins. Without Lee's tacit protection, the pathways of manipulation narrow. In prison, she may find new allies, but the fortress of family she once relied on has shut its gates. The Spencer-Forrester alliance watches and moves. Bill Spencer mobilizes legal and financial power to strip Luna of any leverage, to take the baby or the claim to the baby away. Steffi Forrester aligns with the Spencers. Luna must never touch their children again. Lee's denunciation strengthens their hand. Yet the war is far from over. Luna, dangerous, resourceful, still holding a card, the claimed pregnancy, the unborn child, the potential heir of Spencer power. She may yet forge strange alliances in the prison halls, exploit legal technicalities, purchase loyalty. She will not surrender lightly. And Lee, though she has drawn a line, knows that vengeance never ends with just a verdict. She must watch the chaos she set in motion when she tried to save, now keep vigil as that chaos spirals. The dynamic has shifted from rescue mission to power struggle. Lee's mission is no longer to cure, it is to protect. The child, the family, the future of the Finnegan-Spencer line. The niece who once walked into Lee's home as a vulnerable girl now threatens everything the aunt stands for. In the end, the question remains, can Lee close the chapter completely, or will she be forced to revisit the battlefield? The danger is not just Luna behind bars, it is the ripple effect. Bonds undone, trust shattered, the possibility of redemption lost forever. And when the dust settles, Lee will remain scarred yet resolved, while Luna, stripped of ties, faces the consequences of her choices. In the grand tapestry of the Forrester-Spencer world, this arc marks a turning point. The aunt becomes executioner of the familial code. The niece becomes the villain not deserving of mercy. And though walls and wards may separate them physically, the breach runs deep through blood. The next phase is uncertain. Custody battles, prison alliances, legal machinations. But Lee has made her choice. The verdict is cast. Luna's name is poison at the family table, and Lee's clarity is absolute. This is no soap opera reconciliation. This is judgment. And in the world of the bold and the beautiful, judgment has consequences that... Oh.